Hello and welcome to the show. Now, when it comes to Jaguars, they've had a mixed history with FailRace videos. The classic Jaguars have tended to do fairly well. The E-Type we named the best looking car in Forza 4, and when I stuck the V12 engine in it from an Enzo and had about 1,200 horsepower in it, it actually survived the silly car build process remarkably well, far better than I ever expected it to. But then the more modern ones, not so much. The XFR we named as one of the worst cars in Forza 4. This thing is, quite frankly, ludicrous to drive. We raced it against some other four-door saloon cars and a GT40. It was slowest by a mile. It raced in a lucky dip race and then it got lapped. It doesn't do particularly well. The problem with this car is it has two modes. Mode number one is incredibly sideways everywhere, as you saw down that corner. I wasn't trying to be sideways. That was just the Jaguar deciding it wanted to be sideways. You don't have to really be, you don't have to be trying to slide this car, and it will do this. Admittedly, it is relatively controllable when it's going sideways. I mean, this is me driving the car, and I'm keeping it under control while it's floundering around. But this is not good for lap speed. Driving like this is not good for lap speed whatsoever. It just wants to go sideways. In a straight line, it is very, very quick. It'll embarrass BMWs at the time with straight line speed, phenomenally fast. Got some 500 plus horsepower, but you just can't keep the damn thing under control through the corners. And if you do calm the oversteer down, the other mode you get is huge amounts of understeer. There's just loads and loads of understeer if you stop the car sliding. The brakes aren't particularly good either. We're coming up to the same corner again. This time, rather than chucking it in and letting it slide, I tried to be sensible, and then we got all of the understeer and fell off the course in a completely different way. It's not a nice car to drive, this one. While yes, it is incredibly fast in a straight line, show it a couple of corners and it is utterly flummoxed. One of the worst A-Class cars that there is. But then we move on to the XKR, a car that I do quite like. The engine sounds fantastic, the supercharger noise going on, and I think it looks fantastic as well. And this time we don't get flummoxed when it comes to a corner. You can drive this vehicle around whatever turns it may be that you want to, nice and sensibly. There is still a little bit of that Jaguar lunacy though. If you want this car to go sideways, it does not take a huge amount of encouragement. This is one of those vehicles that you'll often find you may start off trying to drive it sensibly, end up giving up and just sort of messing around with it. It's very easy to do that with the XKR. But yeah, if you do actually want to sort of drive it sensibly, it is possible. Maybe not the normal way you drive one, but yeah, it is actually possible. I do very much like the XK. So when we move on to the new XF, we now have the XFR-S, because of course you've got to add on a letter every time you bring out a new model. Things start off very well. It's a fantastic looking car, this one, I have to say. There's plenty of sportiness about it without becoming sort of the super aggressive C63 AMG. I really do like the look of this vehicle. I would personally say it's probably the best looking of the four-door sort of super saloons. There are a couple of things. I don't particularly like the rear wing. It's a little bit of a strange wing, sort of starts in the middle and comes out, I don't know. It looks a little bit odd on the back of the vehicle, and the wheels, I don't know what's going on with them. But overall, I think it's an absolutely fantastic looking vehicle. And again, it's a fantastic sounding engine that they have in this car. So certainly from the visual standpoint, they've definitely got things right with this new car, especially in the blue colour it comes with. Fantastic colour. But it's no good just being a pretty car. There is lots of competition when it comes to these four-door super saloons, of course, with the BMW M5 being the main rival. When it comes to power, well, there is plenty in this Jaguar. 550 horsepower. It's only 2 less than the M5. 502 torque, which is 1 more than the M5. Very similar on the engine front. And weight-wise, well, the BMW is a little bit light, about 250 pounds different in favour of the BMW, but still not a huge amount of difference between these two vehicles. Now, you may, much like I was, be slightly concerned about all of that power and all of that torque going through the rear wheels of a four-door Jaguar. I was expecting something very similar to the old XFR. I mean, this one's even more powerful. But fear not, because this is actually a very good car to drive. It doesn't drive at all how I expected that it would. Come up to a corner, here we go, a fast right-hand corner, And even with a wheel on the grass, the Jaguar is fine. There is no sideways antics from the car on this lap. It is much like with the XK, it is very simple to drive this car sensibly. If you want to get it very sideways, you can. There is still that little bit of Jaguar lunacy. If you want to slide this car around every corner, it's more than happy to. With all of this power and torque, and it's more than happy to slide through the turns. But if you don't, if you want to try and drive it sensibly, get a quick lap time, follow all the racing lines and so on, it's just as happy to be doing that. I mean, this car is not light, it's just under 4,400 pounds. But it doesn't feel it. Unlike when you drive a big Audi, sometimes even the big BMWs, they feel quite heavy through the turns. This doesn't. This feels very agile. It changed direction very, very nicely. And I personally prefer driving this to the M5. It feels a little bit more lively. It just feels like there is more going on with this car. I really do quite like driving this vehicle. The other thing with it is it's an incredibly forgiving car. Despite all of the power and all of the torque, I mean, this thing will do 0 to 60 under 4 seconds. It'll do 0 to 100 in just over 9. Tops out 198 miles an hour, which for a 4-door car is quite ridiculous. But it's all very forgiving. You put a wheel on the grass and you can get away with it. You have to be doing something really very, very stupid to get yourself into trouble with this vehicle. Now, as I said, with the M5 being a chief rival for the Jag, we lined the pair up for a drag race. It did happen to be raining. We were curious as to how that would affect the results of this. So yeah, off the line, the BMW is that little bit faster. BMW does get a better launch as we head down, and we would expect the BMW to be winning this drag race. It's that little bit lighter than the Jag, even with very similar power and torque figures. Once we get to 120 miles an hour, 130 miles an hour, things start to change. The Jag starts closing in on the N5, and before we cross the finish line, we are just going to sneak the nose ahead with the Jaguar. Very, very close time. That's one of the closest drag races we've had. Very close times between the pair of them, but amazingly, it was the Jaguar that would take the victory. So we lined them up to have another go with these, and we'd see fairly similar results. This off the line, the BMW is the quicker of the two cars. Whether that's being slightly lighter, whether it's got slightly better traction or whatever, we're not entirely sure, but certainly all of those things are going to be helping it. Up to about the 120 mile an hour mark, the BMW is pulling away. And then the Jag starts closing in. The Jaguar is just a slightly faster car when it comes to the sort of the top end speed. This time round, the BMW doesn't fluff up a gear change and will go on to take victory, but by the time we cross the finish line, I was closing in. I set a fairly similar time with the BMW going a little bit faster. We were slightly curious as to whether the rain was affecting it any, so we got it to be dry, swap sides, and set off again. But the results were going to be much the same. I was impressed, actually, I have to say, to see the Jag keeping up with the BMW. No, these aren't going to be as fast as the four-wheel drive Audis or the four-wheel drive Mercedes, because they've got the launch off the line. But to be this close together for the Jaguar, that's quite impressive. That is quite impressive, and it's the quicker car, sort of ultimate top speed. Again, we're catching, but we're just going to run out of runway. A little bit longer drag strip, and the Jaguar would pass it. They're pretty even then when it comes to the straight line stuff, so we then took them to a track. This is quite a nasty track. It's a fast track. This one got lots of bumps for the cars to be dealing with, and a few fast corners as well to test their rear end grip. Off the line, as you would imagine, the BMW got a little bit of a lead, and I got things a bit wrong through quite a fast corner. That was a big moment in a 4,400 pound Jaguar. But as I said, it's quite if I'd done that in the XFR, I would have been off. I would have been off and into a wall and pointing backwards, and it would all be broken. But in this car, you can get away with it. I can gather it all up and carry on, and I'm still right there behind the BMW. There's a big twitch through the corner. This is where things start getting a little bit bumpy. But the Jaguar deals with it all. And we're racing against, let's not forget, pretty much the benchmark for the four-door Super Saloon cars. It's the one that all other cars are measured against in this category. and the Jaguar is keeping up through the turns. There is 10 PI difference between the pair of them. That seems like a bit too bigger a gap, in all honesty, because really these two cars are incredibly even. There is not much to separate the pair of them. I got a better run coming onto the start-finish. I tried to sneak up the inside. Things got all very scary as we were both sliding on our way up that corner. This time, don't go on the grass. Don't go near the grass on the inside of the course. It's the BMW that dips a wheel on it and has a little bit of a sideways moment, although he does keep his car alongside, and I'm stuck now trying to go around the outside. The Jaguar just has a little bit of a slide, but the BMW will do a similar thing as well. I mean, this is a lot of power going through the rear wheels, and these cars being raced flat out, neither of us with assists, you know, they're remarkably composed for what they are. Again, the BMW just having that little bit of a slide, and it's the BMW, you could just tell things were going to go wrong for the M5 on that one. Hit the jump a bit hard, or hit the bump there a bit hard, and just got a little bit of airtime and couldn't stop the car in time. And now the Jaguar finds itself in the lead. And yeah, the racing was really very, very close. It became dark, we were having lots of fun with these cars. I was amazed just how even the pair of these were. Like one dodgy gear shift or one slightly wonky exit out of a corner, and that could mean you getting overtaken or mean you lose a place or whatever. They were so very close, and that's a testament to just how good this Jaguar is. In the old XF, you would have been nowhere. The BMW probably would have lapped me by the time we got to the finish. But with this one, I was keeping up. I was right there. The rain then started to fall as well, just to make it interesting. The BMW had a little bit more problems on the bumps down that section. I'm now right on its tail, trying to look for a way past. Under braking, both of these cars were pretty much even. The rain made things a little interesting for us into this braking zone, both of us pushing, not quite having the grip we expected. The rain doesn't make a huge difference on here, but it's just enough so that when you're really pushing, that things can go a little bit wrong. And as we came on towards the final lap, I may have pushed a bit too hard and got a two-wheel moment on a curb and slightly binned my car in a wall. Slightly unfortunate for the Jaguar. The curb on the inside's absolutely horrible on this particular course. May have got a little bit carried away in trying to catch the BMW and slightly screwed that one up. But at the end of the day, the Jaguar, set a slightly quicker lap time. It's only by a couple of tenths of a second, but it did go slightly quicker. So as far as being an alternative to the M5, well, it looks quite a lot better, I think. It sounds better. It's more fun to drive. It's quicker around the course of the lap, or at least very, very similar with the BMW. It's quicker at a straight line, maybe not quite with the acceleration front, but it'll get to a higher top speed. It is a little bit more expensive though. It's about 10,000 credits more, but that's not a huge amount of money difference between the pair of them, and I would definitely have the Jaguar. Of all the four-door saloon cars, I would have the Jaguar, to be honest. It is a really very, very good car. It's got just the right mix of Jaguar silliness if you want to have some fun with it, and while still being perfectly drivable and perfectly controllable if you actually want to go and properly race it. So yeah, I really do quite like this vehicle. It would certainly be my benchmark for any four-door saloon cars to come. Anyway, that is it for this video, guys. So thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.